Hi guys, I'm Karen Duncan. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to teach you how to use both the SUMIF and SUMIFS functions. The SUMIF function adds values in a range based on whether or not those values meets a specific condition that you set. For example, add all values in a range that are over $1,000. Whereas the SUMIFS function adds values in a range based on whether or not those values meets multiple conditions that you set. For example, add all values in a range over $1,000 for a particular product. So that's two conditions. So let's demonstrate practically how both the SUMIF and SUMIFS functions are used. So in today's example, we have a list of products, we have the quantities sold, we have the regions, as well as the sales revenue that has been made. In our first example, we want to sum all product sales that have exceeded $2,500. In order to do so, we're going to click here and we're going to type equal SUMIF. I can click tab and that brings up the arguments in this function. First up is the range. Now the range is the range of cells that contains the values that we want to apply a condition to that tells Excel whether or not we want to add a value inside of this range. So that's going to be all of the items on the sales revenue. Next, we're asked for the criteria. So this is the condition that we're about to set. So my criteria is going to be more than $2,500. Now, because I use that more than symbol, we need to include these items within quotation marks. Finally, we're asked for a sum range. Now notice that this argument is placed within brackets, and that indicates that it is optional. It only becomes necessary when our range does not contain the values that we want to sum. In this case, our range does contain the values that we want to sum, and so the sum range is not necessary. In the following example, it will be. So I'm just going to include my closed bracket, and if I click enter, Excel has summed all values on the sales revenue that exceeds $2,500. So in our next example, we want to sum all of the sales for a particular product. So I have a drop-down menu here, and if I click on it, you can see these are all of the 4 different products in our list. So let's just select a random product. I'm going to select this one. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to type equal SUMIF. And here we have our arguments. Now in this case, our range is going to include our products because we're only summing values or sales for this particular product. So I'm going to select all these items. And my criteria is going to be the product. Now, quick tip here, you can manually type in the product as the criteria. But if you're doing that, you're going to need to include it within quotation marks. But it's more convenient, in my opinion, to use a cell reference. And so we're just going to click here as the reference that tells Excel what our criteria is. In this case, our sum range argument is necessary because as you can see here, our range does not include the values that we want to sum. The values that we want to sum are the sales revenue figures. So we're going to select all items on the sales revenue as our sum range. So we're pretty much telling Excel here that for all sales for this particular product, I want you to sum those sales. Close brackets, and we click enter. And as you can see here, Excel has summed all sales for this particular product. If we change to another product, it's going to sum the sales for that particular product. In our next example, let's use the SUMIFS function to add values that meets multiple conditions. So what we're going to do is we're going to add values for a specific product. So that's going to be our first condition. And we're adding values for that product in a specific region as well. So that's going to be our second condition. So we're going to select a product here in the drop down menu. Let's just select a random product. And let's also select a random region. So we're clicking here and we're going to type equal SUMIFS. We click tab. And as you can see here, the arguments that make up the SUMIFS function is different than the arguments that made up the SUMIF function. In this case, it starts off with the argument SUMRange. So first off, we need to highlight the range of values that we want to apply our condition to that determines whether or not we add those values. So we're going to highlight all of these cells here on the sales revenue. And next it asks us for criteria range 1. So this is the first range of cells that we're selecting for applying a criteria. So our first criteria range is going to be our product range. So we're going to select all items under product. And next it asks us for criteria 1. So this is the criteria that we're going to apply to the first criteria range. And it's going to be the product. Next it asks us for criteria range 2. And that's going to be our region. So that's going to be the range of cells on the region. And the criteria is going to be the region. So this specific product in this specific region, we want Excel to add all of those values. Close the bracket. And if we click enter, here we see the SUMIFS function has added all those values for this particular product in this particular region. So that's how you use the SUMIFS function. So I want to thank you very much for dropping by. If you appreciated the value of what I shared today, then I'd appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments what other type of videos you'd like me to do. What other topics would you like me to cover? So I want to thank you very much for dropping by. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in continuing to get content like this. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So thanks again and bye.